Hello, everyone. Welcome to English Today Journey. I am very happy you are here. Before we begin, remember to subscribe because every day we share gentle English tips to help you feel more confident. Now, I want you to imagine something with me. Please relax and listen. Imagine that one morning you wake up and something feels different. For the first time in your life, English does not feel difficult anymore. It does not feel heavy. It does not feel scary. Instead, you feel calm. You feel peaceful. You feel ready to speak. When you open your mouth, the words come out naturally. Your tongue feels light. Your mind feels clear. You do not stop to think about grammar rules. You do not worry about making mistakes. You do not panic when you forget a word. You simply speak, slowly and comfortably. This is the moment when English stops being a school subject. It becomes a part of you. It feels like a natural tool, like your own voice. Today, in this long and gentle story, I want to take you step by step toward that moment. Welcome to this English learning space. Here, learning English is like listening to a warm story told by a friend. There is no pressure here. There is no rush. Today, I will guide you through a journey of understanding how to become fluent in English. Not fast, not perfect, but natural. I will speak slowly and clearly. I want you to feel every word. I want you to hear how English flows. Most importantly, I want you to feel safe. This place is for learners like you. Learners who want to grow. Learners who want to speak. Learners who want to understand the world through English. Now, let us begin the story. I want you to picture a small, quiet room. Inside this room sits a learner. Maybe this learner is you. On the table, there are English books. There are notebooks filled with grammar exercises. There may be a phone with English learning apps. This learner has worked hard. This learner truly wants to learn. But something is missing. Even after all this effort, the learner still cannot speak with confidence. During conversations, words disappear from the mind. When listening to fast English, fear appears. The heart beats faster. And every time the learner tries to speak, the tongue feels heavy and the mind suddenly becomes empty. If this feels familiar, please know this. You are not alone. Many English learners around the world feel the same way. This struggle is not a failure. It is simply part of the journey. And this story is here to help you understand that journey slowly and kindly. This is the challenge many English learners face. They learn many new words, but they do not know how to use them in real life. They study grammar rules, but they do not know when or how to apply those rules while speaking. They listen to English videos, movies, or lessons, but they still feel confused. They hear the words, but they cannot understand the real meaning behind the sentences. Please understand this clearly. The problem is not your brain. The problem is not your intelligence. The problem is not your memory. You are not weak, and you are not bad at English. The real problem is the method you were taught. English fluency is not about learning more and more information. It is not about memorizing thousands of words or hundreds of grammar rules. Fluency is about learning in the right way. In this journey together, I want to show you a different path. It is a simple path. It is a gentle path. It is slow, but it is powerful. On this path, English is not something you force into your brain. English becomes something you feel inside you. It becomes natural, not memorized. Now, let us return to the learner sitting in the small room. After many months of studying, the learner feels tired and frustrated. The books feel heavy. The grammar rules feel confusing. The learner begins to feel that something is wrong. Then, one day, something changes. The learner stops studying English like a school subject. Instead of opening grammar books again and again, the learner starts listening to simple English stories every day. Stories like the one you're listening to right now. The learner listens calmly. There is no pressure to understand everything. The learner listens slowly and repeats some sentences out loud. Little by little, the learner begins to feel the rhythm of English. English is no longer just grammar rules on paper. It becomes a voice. It becomes a feeling. It becomes music. It becomes a friend. And this is where fluency truly begins. Fluency starts with one very simple idea. You must listen before you speak. Think about children. They listen for a long time before they speak their first words. They listen to sounds, patterns, and emotions. They do not study grammar. They do not memorize rules. When you listen to English, your brain starts collecting patterns. It learns sounds. It learns natural sentence structures. It learns how ideas connect. When you listen, your brain feels safe. There is no fear. There is no pressure to be perfect. Slowly, English starts to feel easier. Your tongue feels lighter. Your voice feels freer. Speaking begins to feel natural. That is why this story is long. Your brain needs time. Your brain needs rhythm. Your brain needs repetition through stories, not textbooks. Now, take a deep breath with me. Slowly breathe in. Slowly breathe out. Relax your mind. You do not need to understand every word. You do not need to translate in your head. You do not need to remember anything. Just listen and let English gently enter your world. Just listen. Do not think too much. Just feel the story. Now imagine the learner leaves the small room and goes outside for a quiet walk. It is a calm afternoon. The air feels soft. The trees stand still. The sky is gentle and wide. Everything feels slow and peaceful. As the learner walks, thoughts begin to appear. The learner thinks, why is English still difficult for me? I work so hard. I study every day. I read books. I learn grammar. I memorize words. But when I try to speak, my voice shakes. When I listen to English, the words move too fast. Why does this still happen? The learner feels a little sad, a little tired, a little lost. There is effort, but there is also confusion. Then something unexpected happens. In the distance, the learner hears two children playing. They are laughing. They are running. And they are speaking English. Their English is very simple. They use short sentences. They use clear words. They use basic expressions. There are no long sentences. There is no difficult vocabulary. But they understand each other perfectly. The learner stops walking and listens carefully. And a new thought appears. Why am I trying to learn difficult English? The learner thinks. Even children speak with simple sentences. This moment is small, but it is powerful. This is a moment of realization. Something soft begins to change inside the learner. You do not need complex English to be fluent. You need simple English used naturally. This is the first big lesson of fluency. When you speak simple English clearly, people understand you. When you speak simple English confidently, communication becomes easy. And most importantly, when you speak simple English naturally, you understand yourself. Now, let me tell you what fluency truly means. Fluency is not speaking fast. Fluency is not using big, difficult words. Fluency is not perfect grammar. Fluency is flow. Fluency is clarity. Fluency is comfort. Fluency is the ability to express your thoughts calmly, without fear, without panic, without pressure. It is the feeling that your words can move freely, just like your thoughts. And this is exactly what we will practice together in this long listening journey. But for now, stay with the learner. The learner continues walking slowly under the soft sky. The mind feels quieter now. The heart feels lighter. The learner is thinking, feeling, and wondering. And then, very softly, the learner speaks out loud, almost like a whisper. Maybe I need to listen more. This sentence is small. It is simple, but it is important. This sentence becomes the beginning of the learner's new English life. Now imagine the learner again, walking slowly, breathing calmly, feeling peaceful under the open sky. The learner has understood something very important. Listening is the key. Listening is the real beginning of fluency. But this is only the start of the transformation. The journey is just beginning, and many gentle changes are waiting ahead. The learner walks back home and sits near the window. Outside, the world keeps moving. Cars pass by slowly. People walk along the street. Birds sing softly in the distance. Life continues as usual. But inside the room, something new is beginning. A quiet power is growing. The learner makes a gentle decision. Today will be different. There will be no grammar books, no long vocabulary lists, no pressure, no fear. Today is only for listening. The learner opens a simple English audio. It is calm. It is friendly. It sounds a little like this story you are listening to now. The learner closes their eyes and takes a slow breath in, then slowly breathes out. The body relaxes. The mind becomes quiet. The learner allows the English words to enter the ears without panic. For the first time, the learner does not try to translate every sentence. There is no effort to understand every word. There is only listening. The English flows gently, like water in a quiet river. This simple act begins to change everything. Because listening is not only about sound. Listening is about rhythm. Listening is about feeling. Listening is about the natural music of a language. When you listen, you begin to feel how English breathes. You hear when the voice rises and when it falls. You notice when the sound is soft and when it becomes strong. Slowly, you understand the flow without thinking. Little by little, the brain begins to copy this flow. The learner listens for 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 20 minutes. Time moves gently. Something surprising happens. The learner feels calm. The body feels relaxed. The words no longer feel like strangers. They begin to feel familiar, like friendly faces. Even when the learner does not understand every sentence, the rhythm feels safe. The tone feels warm. The English feels welcoming. Quietly, the learner begins to whisper some sentences. Very softly, very slowly. I want to. I want to. I want to become fluent. The learner repeats the words with care. The tongue moves. The mouth shapes the sounds. It feels new, but it feels good. There is no fear in this moment. Sometimes the learner stops and listens again. Sometimes the learner repeats a full sentence. Sometimes only one word. Every small step is enough. There is no rush here. There is no race. There is no test waiting at the end. This is not studying. This is training. Training the ear. Training the voice. Training the mind to feel English naturally. In this quiet room, near the window, something important is happening. English is slowly becoming familiar. English is becoming comfortable. And this gentle practice is building the foundation of true fluency. This kind of training must always be gentle and patient. As the learner continues to listen quietly, new thoughts begin to appear in the mind. Soft questions rise, not with fear, but with curiosity. Why did I always try to speak before listening? Why did I believe English had to be difficult? Why was I afraid of simple practice? These questions do not bring stress. Instead, they open a door to understanding. The learner begins to see something clearly for the first time. Fluency begins when fear ends. Fear makes language heavy. Fear tightens the tongue. Fear makes the mind empty. Fear causes silence in the middle of a sentence. But listening slowly removes fear. Listening teaches the brain that English is not dangerous. It is not an enemy. It is not something to fight. English is something to feel. Something to follow. Something to enjoy. Slowly, the learner starts to enjoy listening. There is no tension in the body now. The shoulders relax. The breathing becomes calm. The learner opens their eyes, and the room feels brighter. The light coming through the window feels warmer. Even the outside sounds feel softer. Something feels different. The learner realizes, I understand more today. And this is surprising because no grammar was studied. No new vocabulary list was memorized. The learner simply listened. But that simple action is powerful. Then another important thought appears in the learner's mind. Native English speakers do not think in grammar rules. They do not think about verb tenses while speaking. They think in ideas. They think in images. They think in stories. This changes everything. The learner makes a clear and calm decision. I will learn English through stories. I will learn English through listening. I will let my mind relax. This decision quietly transforms the learner's English journey. Now, I want you to feel this too. As you listen to these words, your brain is training gently. You may not notice it, but it is happening. Every sentence you hear becomes a small memory. Every sound becomes a familiar pattern. Every phrase slowly becomes part of your natural English rhythm. You do not need to repeat every sentence. You do not need to understand every word. You do not need to translate. You only need to listen with an open and relaxed mind. Here is something very interesting. When you listen to English without stress, your brain begins to create automatic connections. This happens naturally, without effort. For example, when you hear a simple phrase like, I want to, your brain remembers the sound. It remembers the rhythm. It remembers how the words feel together. Later, when you want to express a thought, your brain can bring this phrase back easily, without fear and without thinking. This is how fluency grows. Not through pressure, not through force, but through calm listening again and again. And this gentle process is already happening inside you right now as you listen. When you listen to English again and again, your brain learns quietly. When you want to say something like, I want to learn English, your brain brings the phrase forward automatically. You do not search for it. You do not panic. The words appear naturally. This is fluency. Speaking without searching. The learner in our story continues this gentle practice every day. Not for many hours. Just a little. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. But the learner practices with consistency. Day after day, without pressure. English slowly becomes part of daily life. The learner listens to English while cooking, while cleaning the room, while resting on the bed, while walking outside. English is no longer something separate from life. It becomes part of normal moments. The learner chooses simple English stories every day, not difficult ones, not advanced ones. Simple stories. This is important because simple English builds strong foundations. When the foundation is strong, everything else becomes easier. One evening, the learner sits outside with a warm cup of tea. The air feels cool. The sky begins to change colors as the sun slowly sets. The moment is quiet and peaceful. The learner listens to another simple English story. Then something special happens. A sentence appears in the story, and the learner understands it immediately. There is no translation. There is no effort. The meaning arrives naturally. The learner smiles. It feels like a small moment, but it is very important. This is the moment when the brain begins to understand English naturally. And when this happens, fluency starts to grow, slowly and gently, like a plant receiving sunlight every day. The learner whispers softly, almost in surprise, I am changing. I can feel it. English is slowly becoming my friend. Now, I want you to whisper something too. Say it slowly. Say it clearly. Say it softly. I am improving. I am learning. I am becoming fluent. Say it again. I am improving. I am learning. I am becoming fluent. Let your brain hear these words. Let your heart believe them. Because this is not only a story. This is your journey too. And we are only at the beginning. Now, take a slow breath. Breathe in gently. Breathe out slowly. Let the words rest in your mind. Let the rhythm of English become soft inside you. Let your thoughts become calm. Because in this part of our long journey, something important is about to happen. In the next section, we will explore a very special moment. It is the moment when the learner, someone just like you, begins to find their own English voice. Not a teacher's voice, not a textbook voice, not a perfect voice, but a real human voice, a natural voice, your voice. And this is where the journey becomes truly personal. A natural voice, a voice that feels comfortable, free, and honest. The learner has been listening every day, listening during morning tea, listening during a quiet walk outside, listening before sleep, when the world becomes silent. Slowly, without effort, the learner starts understanding simple English sentences. There is no forcing. There is no pushing. Understanding simply happens. And this feels like magic. It feels like opening a small window inside the mind and letting fresh air enter. The thoughts feel lighter. The sounds feel clearer. English no longer feels like noise. It begins to feel meaningful. But something is still missing. The learner can understand more now. Listening feels easier. But speaking still feels scary. Speaking feels like standing in front of a door that is half open, but not fully open. The learner can see what is on the other side, but cannot step through yet. One afternoon, the learner sits by the window again. Soft light enters the room. The air feels warm. The space feels calm and safe. The learner thinks quietly, I understand more now, but why am I still afraid to speak? The learner gently touches the throat and feels the soft movement of breath. My voice, why does it feel heavy when I speak English? This feeling is very common. Many learners feel this way. Maybe you feel it too. Then something small happens. Something simple, but powerful. The learner whispers a very easy sentence. I am learning English. The words come out quietly. The voice is a little shaky, a little unsure, but the sentence comes out. And the learner smiles softly, because even though the voice is small, it exists. And that is important. The learner repeats the sentence again. I am learning English. This time, the voice sounds a little clearer. The learner says it once more. I am learning English. With every repetition, something grows inside. Not loud confidence, not strong confidence, but gentle confidence. A small spark of courage. The learner begins to understand something very important. Fluency does not come from big words. Fluency does not come from difficult sentences. Fluency comes from simple words, repeated with courage. Now the learner tries a new sentence. I want to be fluent. The sentence feels new on the tongue. The learner pauses, then says it again. I want to be fluent. This time, the words feel more real. They feel closer. The learner listens to their own voice and feels something changing inside. The fear becomes a little smaller. The tension in the throat becomes lighter. The voice feels a little freer. The learner realizes that speaking is not about being perfect. It is about allowing the voice to exist. Even if it is slow, even if it is soft, even if it is not perfect, the learner continues speaking quietly. One sentence at a time. No pressure. No audience. Just the learner and their voice in a safe room. And slowly, the voice begins to feel more natural, more familiar, more human. This is how an English voice is born. Not suddenly, not loudly, but gently. And as the learner sits by the window, speaking simple sentences with calm breath, something important becomes clear. This voice does not need to sound like a teacher. It does not need to sound like a textbook. It does not need to sound perfect. It only needs to sound real. And this real voice, your real voice, is the beginning of true fluency. The learner feels the voice growing a little stronger. You see, your English voice does not appear suddenly. It does not appear fully formed. It grows slowly, like a small plant. You water it with listening. You feed it with repetition. You warm it with courage. And one day, without noticing, you will speak naturally. It will feel calm. It will feel easy. It will feel yours. The learner decides to try something new. Instead of studying grammar rules, they practice speaking simple sentences. Not long sentences. Not difficult ones. Just simple sentences. Short sentences. Natural sentences. Sentences that feel good to say. The learner whispers softly. I can speak. I can try. I am improving. I am growing. I believe in myself. Each sentence becomes a little easier than the one before. The learner begins walking slowly around the room, speaking softly, repeating small phrases. The fear melts a little. The voice becomes warmer. Speaking English begins to feel like breathing, soft, natural, calm. Now, let me show you something very important. Many learners think fluency means speaking fast. But real fluency is not speed. Real fluency begins when you can speak slowly, without fear. It begins when you can express your feelings clearly. It begins when you can use simple words with confidence. Imagine the learner deciding to take a small but brave step. The learner picks up their phone and opens the microphone. They record a short message. The message is simple. Hello. My name is. I am learning English. I listen every day. I want to be confident. At first, the learner feels shy. They think, is that really my voice? But then something surprising happens. The learner listens again and realizes the voice is not bad. The voice is not broken. The voice is simply growing. Slowly, gently, naturally. The learner smiles. It feels good. It feels like progress. It feels like a small victory. Maybe you can try this too. You can record your own voice. You can say simple sentences. You can listen to yourself carefully, without judgment. You may hear mistakes. You may hear pauses. You may hear words that sound strange. But that is okay. That is normal. That is part of learning. That is part of growing. Fluency does not come from being perfect. It comes from being consistent. From speaking little by little, day by day. From listening, repeating, and gently building your confidence. The learner continues this practice every day. Speaking small sentences. Whispering softly. Recording. Listening. Smiling at the small victories. Feeling the voice grow stronger. Feeling the courage grow warmer. Each day, the learner becomes a little more fluent. Each day, speaking feels a little more natural. And slowly, quietly, the learner understands something very important. Fluency is not speed. Fluency is not big words. Fluency is comfort. Fluency is confidence. Fluency is your voice, growing slowly, like a plant in sunlight, nurtured by patience, practice, and courage. This is your journey too. Every small step matters. Every whispered sentence matters. Every calm breath, every simple word, every gentle practice brings you closer to speaking freely. Every time the learner listens to their own voice, something changes. The fear becomes smaller. The hesitation becomes lighter. Every time the learner repeats a simple sentence, the tongue feels more comfortable. The mouth moves more easily. Words start to feel natural. Slowly, the learner begins to feel the English sounds inside them. They feel the movement of words in the mouth. They feel how the tongue, lips, and breath work together to create the language. And something even more wonderful happens. The learner begins to feel their own English identity forming. Not quickly, not perfectly, slowly, beautifully. Each sound, each sentence, each small word shapes a voice that is theirs. The learner notices something very important. After listening to English stories for a while, speaking becomes easier. The voice becomes smoother. Sentences come out more naturally. The rhythm of English begins to feel familiar. It feels like a soft river flowing. The learner understands clearly now. Listening creates the path, and speaking follows that path. Listening shows the way, and the voice learns to follow it. Now imagine the learner sitting quietly at night on the bed. The room is calm. The lights are off. Everything is quiet. The learner closes their eyes and whispers sentences in their mind. Slowly, softly, gently. I am learning. I am improving. I am becoming fluent. Each word feels like part of the learner's breathing. Each sentence feels like part of their identity. The learner can feel the small voice inside awakening. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But softly. Naturally. Honestly. It is their own voice, growing, forming, becoming real. And now I want you to try something with me. Even in your mind, say softly, "This is my voice and I will use it." Say it again. This is my voice, and I will use it. Because the moment you accept your own English voice, no matter how it sounds right now, you are starting the most important part of your journey to fluency. The learner begins to understand something very powerful. Fluency is not a destination. Fluency is not a perfect sentence. Fluency is not a fast voice. Fluency is a feeling. It is a feeling of freedom, a feeling of peace, a feeling that your voice matters, a feeling that your English voice belongs to you. This is your turning point too. You are at the moment when your voice begins to matter, when your voice begins to belong to you. And slowly, the learner begins to feel a small excitement, a calm hope, a gentle confidence. Now imagine a new morning. The learner wakes up early. The air feels fresh and cool. The room is quiet. A soft light enters through the window. The learner sits up slowly, stretches the arms, and feels something different. There is a small, gentle energy inside. The learner feels ready. Ready to listen, ready to speak, ready to begin another day of learning English gently and naturally. This is the moment when a quiet transformation begins. The learner is not perfect. The learner is not fast. But the learner is growing. Each small action, listening, repeating, whispering, speaking, creates a new English voice. Each day, the voice grows stronger, calmer, freer. And slowly, without pressure, English becomes part of life, part of the learner's natural rhythm. Fluency is becoming real. Not in a day, not all at once, but slowly, step by step, word by word, sentence by sentence, the learner's English voice is waking up. And this voice, soft and honest, belongs to the learner forever. The learner feels something different inside. A calm confidence, a gentle excitement. It is not big. It is not loud. But it is there, quietly growing, like a small seed starting to bloom. The learner notices it and smiles softly. Today, they think, I want to practice again. Not because they have to, not because someone told them to, but because they truly want to. And this, the learner realizes, is the first real sign of progress. The learner goes to the kitchen and prepares a simple breakfast. While doing this, they play a soft English story in the background. The words flow gently into the room. They are calm, warm, natural, just like the story you're listening to now. The learner listens without stress. There is no rush, no pressure. The English moves across the morning like a quiet river. The learner feels it entering softly, filling the mind with sound, rhythm, and meaning. And then something very interesting begins to happen. The learner starts to feel the meaning of whole sentences. Not by translating them, not by thinking in their native language, but by feeling the meaning behind the words. A simple phrase suddenly makes sense. A sentence feels familiar. The English starts to feel alive, not just a list of words in a book. It becomes something real, something familiar, something the mind recognizes naturally. After breakfast, the learner decides to go for a short walk. The street is calm and peaceful. A few people are walking. Some ride bicycles. Others are opening small shops for the day. The learner listens to the story again while walking. Slowly, something magical happens. A sentence from the story suddenly feels familiar. The learner thinks, wait, I know this phrase. Another sentence feels familiar too. And then another. Step by step, word by word, the learner begins to notice something very powerful. Their brain has started connecting the pieces of English automatically, without thinking, without effort, without translating. The learner feels something like a quiet bridge being built inside the mind. Words begin linking naturally to feelings. Sounds connect to meanings. Expressions link to situations. Every time the learner listens, every time they repeat a sentence, every time they speak softly, these invisible bridges grow stronger. They are invisible, yes, but they are real. And then one day, without warning, something amazing happens. The learner understands a sentence naturally. No translation. No struggle, no effort, just understanding. The sentence feels like it always belonged in the mind. This is a turning point in fluency. This is how real fluency begins. Not through memorizing grammar. Not by repeating long vocabulary lists. Not by worrying about mistakes. Fluency begins when the brain starts connecting English naturally. When listening and speaking work together. When sentences, sounds, and meanings become linked inside the mind. The learner feels a quiet joy. They smile. They realize that this gentle practice, done every day, is building something far more important than speed or perfection. It is building understanding, confidence, a voice that will grow slowly, steadily, and naturally. And now, even small sentences feel alive. Even short phrases feel comfortable. Each repetition strengthens the bridges. Each calm listening session makes English more familiar, more real, more part of life. And in that moment, the learner understands something very clear. Fluency is not something you force. It grows quietly, invisibly, like a plant reaching for sunlight. And when it grows, it feels natural, calm, and effortless. This is the moment when the journey truly begins. The learner keeps walking slowly, enjoying the quiet morning. Trees sway softly with the wind. Birds sing somewhere nearby. A group of school children passes by, laughing and speaking quickly in English. The learner listens carefully. A few simple sentences reach their ears. Let's go. Wait for me. Look at this. The learner smiles. Not because they understood every single word. Not because they caught every detail. But because they understood enough. Enough to feel connected. Enough to feel confident. Enough to feel alive in English. Suddenly, a thought comes. Why does this feel easier now? The learner stops walking for a moment and takes a deep, slow breath. They remember the days when English felt like a giant mountain, heavy and impossible to climb. They remember feeling nervous, confused, frustrated. But now, something has changed. The mountain no longer feels too big. It feels climbable, step by step, breath by breath, word by word. The learner returns home with a calm, peaceful mind. They sit at their desk, open a notebook, and try something new. They write a very simple journal entry in English. Nothing complicated. Just a few sentences. Today I listened to English again. I understood more. I feel good. I feel hopeful. I feel like English is becoming my friend. The learner reads the sentences out loud, slowly and softly. For the first time, English written by their own hand feels natural, honest, part of their life. It does not feel like a school assignment. It feels real. Then the learner decides to add another sentence. I want to continue. And deep inside, they truly mean it. This small choice, this small commitment is powerful. It is the kind of action that grows real fluency over time. Now, let me explain something very important. When English begins to connect naturally in your mind, something changes. You start trusting yourself. You stop judging your mistakes. You stop comparing yourself to others. You begin noticing small victories, and these small victories slowly build a big confidence. Each little step adds up. Each soft sentence you speak, each phrase you repeat, each simple paragraph you write creates invisible bridges in your mind. These bridges link words to feelings, sentences to rhythm, and listening to speaking. Imagine the learner, sitting by the window again in the afternoon. Sunlight filters softly through the glass. They take a break from studying and close their eyes. For a few quiet minutes, they just listen. They let the English flow into their mind without stress. They do not need to understand everything. They do not need to translate. They do not need to remember every word. They just listen. Slowly, calmly, gently. The learner notices something magical. Every time they listen like this, their brain is building connections automatically. Listening shapes understanding. Listening shapes comfort. Listening shapes fluency. They feel peaceful. They feel ready. They feel like a small part of English is now theirs. And now the learner smiles, not because they are perfect, not because they know everything, but because they're moving forward, step by step, sentence by sentence, breath by breath. And they know that each quiet, simple moment of practice is creating the English voice they have been waiting for, the calm, natural, confident voice inside them. This is the beginning of something big, even if it feels small. Every small action, listening, speaking softly, writing simple sentences, adds up. Every small step builds the foundation for fluency. And slowly, day by day, English becomes not just a subject, but a part of life, a friend, and a voice that belongs to the learner. The learner sits quietly and listens to the outside world. Footsteps echo on the street. A motorcycle hums in the distance. A dog barks somewhere far away. And then the learner realizes something small but important. English also has sounds. The learner begins to notice the rhythm, the tone, the flow, and the melody of English. The words are not just letters on a page. They are music. They are feelings. They rise and fall. They breathe. Slowly, the learner starts to copy that melody. Softly, almost like a whisper, they say, "I am getting better." They say it again, a little stronger this time. "I am getting better." And again, "I am getting better." With every repetition, something begins to change inside. The learner begins to believe it. The words stop being just words. They become a small promise to themselves. Later, in the evening, the learner goes to a small store nearby. The shopkeeper greets them with a simple, friendly English. "Hello, how are you?" The learner answers naturally, not perfectly, but naturally. When the shopkeeper smiles warmly, the learner feels a wave of confidence. A small moment, yes, but a very important one. These moments are signs. Signs that English is no longer just something studied. Signs that English is entering life. Signs that the learner's brain is slowly changing. Walking back home, the learner feels the shift happening inside. Not fast, not dramatic, but steady, quiet, and strong. Something deep inside says, "I can do this." And for the first time, the learner truly believes it. Now imagine this with yourself. This is the moment when English starts connecting inside your mind. The moment when it stops being something foreign and becomes something you can live in. A world opens up where you do not just hear English. You feel it. You understand it. The learner returns home and sits at their desk late in the evening. The room is quiet. The air is calm. The lights are soft. It is one of those peaceful nights when the world feels slower, when thoughts feel clearer, when the heart feels open. The learner looks at a notebook filled with simple English sentences written over the past days and weeks. They read the sentences slowly, letting the words sink into their mind. "I am learning. I am improving. I am becoming fluent." The words feel alive. They are no longer just exercises. They are part of the learner's life, part of the learner's journey. With each reading, each repetition, the sentences feel easier, warmer, more familiar. The learner smiles. They remember the fear, the confusion, the nervousness they felt at the beginning. And they notice how far they have come. They realize that fluency does not arrive suddenly. It grows slowly, quietly, like a gentle river carving its path. Each word heard, each sentence repeated, each moment spent listening, speaking, or writing quietly has built bridges in the learner's mind. Bridges that connect sounds to feelings, sentences to meaning, listening to speaking. And now, the learner feels something new. A soft confidence, a calm excitement, a quiet joy. English is no longer heavy. It no longer feels impossible. It is part of life. It is part of the learner. Every small practice, every simple sentence, every soft whisper has created this moment. A moment of understanding, a moment of calm, a moment of true learning. This is what the learner experiences now. Not a sudden miracle, not a dramatic change, but a steady, real, growing connection with English. And in this quiet evening, the learner knows something important. The journey is real. Fluency is real. And the path forward is simple. Listen, feel, speak, repeat, and slowly, naturally, the English voice inside will grow. The learner sits quietly and takes a deep breath. The small sentences they have been practicing. I am learning. I am improving. I am becoming fluent. Feel like little friends now. Always there, always gentle, always encouraging. And then a question comes to their mind. Can I speak freely now? Can I speak without fear? This question creates a quiet moment, a moment of silence, a moment of hope, a moment of courage. The learner decides to do something new, something brave. They pick up their phone and open the voice recorder again. But this time, there is no script, no carefully planned sentences. They simply press record and start to speak. The learner begins softly. Hello, I am here. I want to talk in English. The voice is calm, the rhythm slow. There is no rush, no fear. Slowly, the learner continues. Today I listened to English for a long time. I understood some parts. I didn't understand everything, but I feel better. I feel like English is becoming easier for me. They pause, take a deep breath, and speak again. I want to keep going. I want to improve. I want to use English in my real life. When the learner stops and listens to the recording, they feel something surprising. The sentences flow. They are not perfect, but they flow naturally. The voice is not shaking. It is not afraid. It is alive.
Real. Honest.
This is the moment when speaking begins to feel different. Not forced. Not scary. Not heavy. Natural. The learner smiles softly, understanding that fluency is not about speed or perfection. It is about rhythm, calmness, and courage. Every simple word repeated with attention builds strength. Every soft sentence spoken aloud makes the voice stronger. From that day, the learner begins to practice more intentionally. Every morning, while preparing for the day, they speak aloud small sentences. I am washing my face. I am making breakfast. I am going to work. I am taking a walk. These sentences are simple, short, easy to say, but powerful. Slowly, English begins to feel like part of daily life. When English becomes part of daily life, it becomes part of the learner's identity. One quiet afternoon, the learner visits a small cafe. They order in English. 1 tea, please. The words come out smoothly, without effort. The voice feels calm, clear, natural. The cafe owner smiles warmly, and that smile becomes a quiet reward. A small, simple moment, but a very important one. The learner feels pride, a quiet joy. The learner begins to understand something important. Fluency is built through small, real-life moments like this. Not by memorizing long sentences. Not by practicing grammar endlessly, but by speaking simply, naturally, and courageously in everyday life. Each small step, each repeated phrase, each tiny victory, like ordering tea, saying hello, or whispering, I am learning, is part of a growing confidence. A voice that is becoming their own. From that moment, the learner feels a subtle change. English is no longer a heavy mountain. It is a path they can walk, step by step, word by word, sentence by sentence. The fear melts a little with every phrase. The voice grows stronger with every practice. The learner smiles quietly, realizing that fluency is not far away. It is slowly, quietly unfolding, like a flower opening in the sun. And now, the learner knows the next step is clear. Listen, speak, repeat, and connect English with life. Simple moments. Small sentences. Gentle practice. This is how the English voice grows. Calmly, naturally, step by step, day by day. That little spark inside the learner's heart glows softly. A spark that says, You did it. A spark that says, you used English in real life. A spark that says, you are growing. Later that evening, the learner decides to practice again, but this time they try longer sentences. Today, I went to a cafe. I ordered tea. I spoke English. I felt good. The sentences come out slowly, carefully, but clearly. And with them comes something new, a quiet sense of freedom. The fear that used to sit heavy in the learner's mind is now lighter, softer, smaller. Here is something important. Speaking naturally does not come from using difficult words. It comes from using simple words again and again. Repetition is your friend. Simplicity is your strength. Confidence grows not from perfect practice, but from gentle, steady practice. Day by day, the learner begins to speak more. Sometimes they speak with friends. Sometimes they speak to themselves in the mirror. Sometimes they walk outside, speaking softly to the world. They speak about their day, their plans, their dreams, even their worries. They speak slowly, with patience and kindness toward themselves. One night, something amazing happens. The learner dreams in English.
Just a small dream.
Just a few words, but still English. When they wake up, they feel amazed. Did my mind really think in English? Yes. Their mind is changing. Slowly, quietly, naturally. Dreams are one of the first signs that English is entering your subconscious. From this moment, speaking becomes even easier. The learner begins forming sentences without thinking too much. Thoughts come naturally. Feelings are expressed clearly. When they are happy, they say, I feel good today. When they are tired, they say, I need rest. When they feel proud, they say, I did well. English becomes like talking to a friend. Not perfect, not advanced, but honest. And honest communication is the heart of real fluency. One day, the learner meets someone in the park. The person says a simple sentence. Hello, how are you? The learner answers calmly. I am fine.
Thank you.
And you? The voice is soft, natural, and real. The words flow without fear. A smile spreads across the learner's face. The small sparks of courage, practice, and listening have grown into a quiet fire inside. This is the power of simple, patient practice. The learner continues walking. The sun is setting. The air feels soft. Trees move gently with the wind. Birds sing in the distance. The learner notices small details, enjoying the world and their own English voice. Words come naturally now. Phrases appear without effort. Confidence is growing, quietly but surely. The learner now understands something very important. Fluency is not about speed. It is not about perfect grammar. It is not about knowing every word. Fluency is about being comfortable. It is about being able to express yourself. It is about feeling free to speak, even with simple sentences. Every small step, every whispered phrase, every short conversation is a building block. And each building block strengthens the learner's voice, slowly, naturally, beautifully. This is the true journey of English. Listening, speaking, repeating, and living the language every day. Every small victory matters. Every small sentence spoken in courage is part of a bigger transformation. And now the learner knows. English is no longer a mountain. It is a path. Step by step, word by word, day by day, the learner walks it with confidence and joy. The learner sits by the window again, just like at the very beginning. But now, everything feels different. The learner feels stronger, calmer, and more confident. Relaxed. Ready. Words start coming softly, almost like telling a story to the world. I started this journey feeling afraid. I felt lost. I was unsure of myself. But now I can speak. I can understand. I can express my thoughts. English is not perfect for me yet, but it feels like my friend. This moment becomes a turning point, a moment of gentle transformation. The learner whispers to themselves, not with fear, but with love. I can speak English. And here comes the important truth. Fluency is not about perfection. Fluency is about comfort. Fluency is being able to speak even when mistakes happen. Fluency is courage. It is the ability to share your thoughts honestly. Fluency is letting English become part of your life, day by day, slowly, naturally. A soft, peaceful smile spreads across the learner's face. They understand something deep and powerful. English is no longer a mountain to climb. It is a path, step by step, word by word, day by day. And you listening now are walking on this same path too. Now, imagine something with me. Imagine waking up one morning and, for the first time in your life, English feels easy. You feel calm. You feel confident.
You feel ready to speak.
Your words flow smoothly. Your tongue feels light. Your mind feels clear. You do not worry about grammar. You do not fear mistakes. You do not stop mid-sentence searching for the right word.
You simply speak.
This is the moment when English stops being just a subject to study. It becomes natural. It becomes part of who you are. And that is exactly the journey we are on together. A journey towards speaking English freely, naturally, without fear, without pressure, with gentle confidence. Think of learning English as listening to a warm, friendly story told by someone who cares. A story that guides you step by step.
Slowly, calmly, clearly.
Today, I will take you on this journey. A journey where fluency is not measured by speed or vocabulary, but by comfort, understanding, and the quiet courage to express yourself. Picture the learner again. They're no longer worried, no longer tense. They are listening, speaking, and living English every day. They speak simple sentences. They repeat words. They listen to stories. They practice gently. And with every day, every small step, their English becomes easier. Their voice becomes more natural. Their confidence grows. And one day, without realizing it, they will find themselves speaking freely. They will understand more. They will feel connected. English will no longer be a challenge. It will be a friend, a companion, a tool to express thoughts, feelings, dreams, and ideas. And that day is waiting for you too. This is the journey I want to take you on. A long, gentle journey where learning English is not a race. It is a story that slowly, softly, naturally helps you find your voice. Your English voice. Your real voice. Imagine you are learning English. Not fast, not perfect, but naturally. I want you to feel each word. Hear how English flows. And feel safe because this story is for learners like you, learners who want to grow, who want to speak, who want to understand the world in English. Now, picture a small room. In the room sits a learner. Maybe someone like you. On the table are books, notebooks full of grammar exercises, maybe a phone with English learning apps. There is effort, desire, and determination, but something is missing. The learner still cannot speak confidently. Words sometimes disappear in the middle of a sentence. Listening to English feels confusing, too fast. And every time they try to speak, the tongue feels heavy, the mind goes blank. Does this feel familiar? If yes, you are not alone. Many learners face the same challenge. They learn many words but do not know how to use them. They study grammar rules but do not know when to apply them. They listen to English content but do not understand the real meaning behind the sentences. The problem is not your brain. It is not your memory. The problem is the method. English fluency is not about learning more. It is about learning in the right way. And that is what this journey is about. I want to show you a different path. A simple path. A gentle path. A slow but powerful path. A path where English becomes something you feel, not something you memorize. Let's return to the learner in the small room. After months of studying, the learner feels tired, frustrated, a little hopeless. But then something changes. The learner stops studying like a schoolbook. No more grammar drills. No more memorizing long lists of words. Instead, the learner starts listening to simple stories every day, stories like the one you are listening to right now. The learner listens slowly, repeats small sentences out loud, feels the rhythm of English, feels how sentences rise and fall. Suddenly, English is no longer just grammar. It becomes a voice, a feeling, a rhythm, a friend. And this is where real fluency begins. The learner learns one simple but important truth: listen before you speak. Just like children, who listen for years before saying their first words. Listening teaches the brain patterns, sounds, natural sentences. Listening builds connections. Slowly, words begin to feel familiar. Slowly, the tongue moves easier. Slowly, the voice feels free. The learner listens for 5 minutes, then 10, then 20. They do not try to understand every word. They do not translate. They do not memorize. They simply listen. And the brain absorbs it all. Patterns, feelings, the music of English. Little by little, something magical happens. English stops feeling like a mountain. It becomes a path. And the learner takes their first small steps along it. Listening first. Feeling English. Speaking slowly. Speaking simply. Speaking with courage. And that is the beginning of your journey too. One small step at a time. Gentle, calm, steady. English is not just words on a page. English is a voice, a feeling, a rhythm, and it can become yours. The learner sits quietly and listens. They repeat simple sentences out loud. Slowly, they feel the rhythm of English. And then something wonderful happens. English is no longer just grammar rules or words in a book. It becomes a voice, a feeling, a rhythm, a friend. This is where fluency truly begins. Fluency starts with one simple idea: listen before you speak. Just like children, who listen for many years before they speak their first words. When you listen, your brain collects sounds, patterns, feelings, and natural sentence structures. When you listen, your brain starts connecting ideas automatically, without fear. Little by little, English becomes easier. Your tongue moves more freely. Your voice becomes lighter and more comfortable. That is why this story is long. Your brain needs time. It needs rhythm. It needs repetition through stories, not textbooks. Now, take a deep breath with me. Slowly breathe in. Slowly breathe out. Let your mind relax. You don't need to understand every word. You don't need to translate. You don't need to memorize anything. Just listen.
Just feel the story.
Imagine the learner goes outside for a quiet walk. The afternoon is calm. Trees stand still. The sky is soft. The learner thinks, why is English still so difficult for me? I study so hard, but when I speak, my voice shakes. When I listen, the words feel too fast. They feel a little sad, a little lost. Then something surprising happens. The learner hears 2 children playing in the distance. They are speaking English. Their sentences are simple, very simple. Short sentences. Clear words. Basic expressions. Suddenly, the learner realizes something important. Why am I trying to learn complicated English when even children speak with simple sentences? This is a small but powerful moment. A soft transformation begins. You don't need difficult words to be fluent. You need simple English used naturally. This is the first big lesson of fluency. Speaking slowly, clearly, and naturally is more important than using long or difficult words. When you speak simple English with confidence, people understand you. And more importantly, you understand yourself. The learner smiles quietly. A gentle understanding grows inside. Fluency is not about speed. It is not about big vocabulary or perfect grammar. Fluency is flow. Fluency is comfort. Fluency is the ability to express your thoughts without fear. And now, listening and speaking are no longer a struggle. They are a quiet, steady path forward. The learner continues their walk, feeling the calm afternoon, noticing the sounds of life around them. And inside, they carry a new idea. English can be simple. English can be friendly. I can grow step by step. And this is where the learner's journey truly begins. Gentle, slow, and full of possibilities. The learner walks slowly under the soft sky. The air is calm. Trees stand quietly. The sky is light and gentle. The learner thinks, why is English still so hard for me? I study so much. I try so hard, but when I speak, my voice shakes. When I listen, the words feel too fast. Then the learner hears a small sound in the distance. Two children playing and speaking English. Their words are simple, short, and clear. Basic sentences. And suddenly, the learner realizes, why am I trying to learn difficult English when even children speak with simple words? This is the first big lesson of fluency. You don't need long or difficult words to speak well. You only need simple words spoken clearly, naturally, and confidently. When you do this, people understand you. And more importantly, you begin to understand yourself. Fluency is not speaking fast. It is not knowing big vocabulary. It is not perfect grammar. Fluency is something else. Fluency is flow. Fluency is clarity. Fluency is comfort. Fluency is the ability to express your thoughts calmly, without fear. The learner whispers softly, almost to themselves, maybe I need to listen more. That small sentence marks the start of a new beginning. Listening becomes the key, the real first step toward fluency. The learner returns home and sits by the window. Outside, life moves on. Cars pass, people walk, birds sing, but inside the room, something new is happening. A quiet power grows inside the learner. Today, they decide to try something different. No grammar books. No vocabulary lists. No pressure. Just listening. The learner opens a calm, friendly English audio. Something gentle, like the story you're hearing now. They close their eyes and breathe slowly. This time, they do not try to translate. They do not try to understand every word. They just listen. They let the English flow into their mind like water flowing in a quiet river. And something small but powerful begins. Listening is not only about hearing sounds. Listening is about rhythm. Listening is about feeling. Listening is about noticing how English rises, falls, stays soft, and becomes strong. The brain begins to feel the natural music of English. Little by little, the learner's mind starts to copy this rhythm. Words begin to feel familiar, even if they are not fully understood. Listening without stress, without fear, becomes training for the brain. Each sentence, each sound, each phrase starts to leave a gentle memory. The learner repeats a few words softly. I want that they feel the tongue moving, the mouth shaping the sounds. Sometimes they repeat full sentences. Sometimes only one word. There is no rush. No test. Just gentle practice. Step by step, the learner's confidence grows. They begin to feel that English is not a mountain to climb. It is a quiet path. Listening becomes the first, strongest step on that path. And for the first time, the learner feels calm. They feel ready. And now you can feel this too. Imagine yourself walking quietly under the soft sky, listening. Let the words flow. Let the rhythm enter your mind. Do not worry about grammar or meaning. Just feel English. This is how fluency begins. Not fast, not perfect, but natural, gentle, and alive.